Well. Blessed greetings, each and every one. This here is Servant David. Yep. I want to give all glory and all honor to the Almighty God up in heaven. Almighty God, I ask that you will get, all the glory through this program here tonight. Father God, you know that nothing that I do is of me and nothing is for me. It's all for you, dear Lord God. Almighty God, I ask that someone will be touched by this. I ask that someone will, learn something from this and possibly even teach as well, because there are some out there who are aware of this thing called prostate cancer. Some of you might know, and some of you might not know that my initial goal for my LSs are to talk about health awareness and other truthful informations that are out there. So I'm here to give you guys information and help to educate and spread awareness. And I am not a doctor. I am not a pastor. But I do my research. So I don't want you to take anything you see on any one of my contents or anything that you may hear from me or see me do or hear me advise you to do. I don't want you to just take it from me. I advise that you do your own research and you seek medical professions for your health issues before you take things into your own hand. Um, and I am not responsible for anything that anyone may do or say on this program or after this program, from watching it. So I just want to put that in there. Again, I am not a doctor. I'm just a mere servant for the Lord God Almighty up above. You know, so I ask that you guys just kick back, sit back. I'm not gonna be here too long. I'm just gonna brief on this thing called prostate cancer. For those of you who don't know, prostate cancer awareness is in September, and the color ribbon is a light blue ribbon. So it's a light blue ribbon for prostate cancer, and the prostate cancer awareness month is in September. We are in the month of January, and this month here, uh, health awareness is cervical cancer. So, uh, yes, sorry, cervical cancer. That's right. This topic here is prostate cancer, but the this month health awareness is cervical cancer, and that ribbon is green. So yeah, I'm just here to spread health awareness, and also, there are certain things that we do and don't do that contribute to our health. And some of those things that we do include eating and certain things that we eat. There are certain foods that boost the risk of uh, inflamed or enlarged prostate. There's things, foods such as starches. Starches like white breads, rice, you know, um, potato, things like that. Those type of things, starches can boost, you know, um, prostate cancer, and if you have it, it can be very dangerous uh, if you eat those things like high protein foods such as you know um, meats and stuff like that. Also, dairy is high risk for um, for prostate cancer. Blessed greetings, the best day you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Blessed greetings. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play a little interview per se. Not really an interview, but it's a friend of mine. Her name is Empress T. You can find her on here on YouTube as well, Empress T. That's Empress Tee. And you can also find my very good friend Rula Brown, RulaBron. That's Rula Brown on the Rula Brown Network. So I'm just gonna play a quick clip, of her going into more detail about prostate cancer, and so you can get a more understanding of it. And if it's possible, and you can share this out, I ask that you do that. So you guys kick back and enjoy the show.
Prostate cancer is also other issues that are a little milder, but still as uncomfortable.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so you have, I know that's one of the subjects that was requested, talk about prostate cancer. So you're going to cover that in today's presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
It was requested by Servant David. And really it's a topic that we need to be discussing more. But I think that because of where it's located and who it's located on, the topic is not so open for discussion. Men are just not as inclined to talk about their body as women are. And I can't even really say that because some women aren't even as open about talking about their bodies either. But we're in a whole different day and age, and we need to, as I always say, be mindful of our bodies and the connections and the messages that they give us. So with this topic, about the prostate, this is something that men and women need to talk about together. Lots of men are not going to talk about it. Women, talk to your men about it. Talk to your brothers. Talk to your cousins. Talk to your fathers. Talk to your your grandpas and stuff. Just bring it up to them casually. Hey, by the way, today I heard, an interesting talk segment on prostate, and they were saying this and they were saying that. And this way you open up a forum, and even if they don't discuss it with you, you have planted seeds of information that may prompt them to ask you later questions or to go and do some research on their own.
Good point. Good point. Now, what do you think, though, are some of the reasons why, men, they're so scared to talk about this topic, though? Well, from your understanding, what are some of the reasons that you think that they're just not comfortable talking about it?
Well, personally, I think because it's tied to the penis, it has a lot to do with the machismo. It has to do with ego. It has to do with masculinity. A lot of times, we equate masculinity with ability to produce offspring. Amount of women that you're able to have sex with. These are the things, unfortunately, that are some of the characteristics of men. And because the masculinity theme is such a touchy subject for men, they're not willing to talk about it, because what man is going to say, yeah, I have problems down there. I'm not able to hold an erection. I'm not able to urinate comfortably. I'm in a lot of pain. Most men are just not comfortable talking about it. I just think it has to do with that, a lot of it.
All right. So what I'm going to do is allow you now to present your information as you had planned it. So just go ahead and you can scroll through it, and I'll chip in from time to time. And again, later on, folks, if anyone has a very important topic, if anyone has any question, we can take 3-4 calls on the line at the same time. The number is 770-744-2154. Go ahead now, T.
Okay, so prostate cancer is actually the second most common death. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sister T. One
okay.
Quickie. You sent me 4 photographs. Do you want me to just flash them from time to time? Because I don't know.
Yeah, you can flash them from time to time, and then because they're all going to be relevant, and they're all the same thing, but they just show different aspects. That one right there that shows the prostate cancer probably has the most realistic view, right, but I'm not sure how close up
they can see it, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing. But you can also go on my Empress T page, and I will have all these photos up as well.
Okay, good. So, all right.
Okay. So now, prostate cancer, what I was saying, is the second most common cancer death in the U.S. It's, from what I understand...
Morning music junkie. Sorry, Sister T, we have a gentleman. He comes in occasionally, and when he comes in during the week, we have to big him up, Music Junkie, and you know who that is. Blessed love to Music Junkie. Go ahead now, Sister T.
Yes, hi. Well, the other thing that I wanted to just interject before I go on, I had a friend, I told one of my friends that I was going to be doing this segment today on prostate, and he said to me, well, how could you ever know or understand anything about the prostate and the cures? And what I said to him is that I don't have to. What I understand and know is about the human body and what a magnificent machinery it is. And with that and what I know about holistic cures, I know that we can, take care of ourselves. And so that's why I feel confident enough to talk about it. And also, it's not as an expert or an authority, but as someone, like I said, just bringing it to the floor so that we can start opening up talks about it. We have to talk about these things. It's the second most common death, but yet African American males are the ones who are dying from it the most.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And they say every 16 minutes someone is dying from it. A man is dying from it, and that it affects about 1 in 7 men. I can give you some more statistics. As you get older, they say men under 40, it affects maybe 1 in 10,000. And for men ages 40 to 59, it affects 1 in 38. So as you see, as you get older, it's affecting more in smaller groups. So that the age group between 60 and 69, it affects 1 in 14. So that by the time you reach 65 years of age, 65% of those diagnosed are going to have some type of prostate cancer.
Quickly before you go on, though. So what I'm hearing then, one speaks of it being hereditary. What you're saying there, it's more, you have a greater chance of getting it as you get older.
As you get older, but also genetics plays a factor. Your race plays a factor. For some reason, they're not really sure yet because, they're still doing tests. Black African American men get it 2.5 times more than the Caucasian men.
Right.
And then here's something else interesting. Asian men had the lowest rate. They got it something like in China, they have it like 2% that get this. But then when they move over here, naturally the rate increases.
That's interesting. So that has to do with probably the environment, the food they eat or something. And I know you made touch on that.
It has to do with all of those.
Yeah,
that has to do with all of those.
Okay.
In fact, genetics, they say that, like I said, African American males, they seem to say we get it more. But, there's still the question of, is it that they're just not being diagnosed sooner? Because as I said, Black men are not going to talk about it. They're not as comfortable talking about it with their partners, with their peers, or even with their doctors. So it could be that we're just seeing them at the later stages instead of at the beginning when they're first getting the symptoms. And, so that plays a factor in it. Genetics, if your father or your brother had it or an uncle, you're twice as likely to have it. And also their age that they had it at has a factor too. So if they contracted this cancer and they were younger than 55, then you're most likely going to get it if you're a male and you're on that bloodline. This is what they're saying. They also say in the U.S. it's 17% higher chances of getting it. The males here just have a higher rate of contracting prostate cancers. And something else interesting, there were some states that even had higher, recordings, record numbers of people with the cancer. And that's in North Philly, in Columbus, Ohio, in Provo, Utah. And they linked it, interestingly enough, to less sun. Because for 3 months out of the year, when it's wintertime, the sun doesn't really go up that far. They're not getting as much vitamin D. Right. And so they've linked it to that for those people in those areas, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Interesting. Wow.
So now, what is the prostate? I don't know if you can see clearly. The prostate is a small gland. It's about the size of a walnut, and it's located under the bladder, in front of the rectum, and like in between. It's like nestled in between the penis in that area. I don't know if you can maybe go to another slide, Lula.
I have this one where it shows more information on there. It has some of those information you're mentioning. In terms of blowing it up more, it's a little tricky for me to get blown up any further.
Okay.
But what
okay, how about that picture? That's a great picture right there. That one is great. Okay. So that you see that the prostate gland, which is yellow, is nestled underneath the bladder. It's in front of the rectum, and just in between the penis. So what the gland is supposed to do, what it's responsible for, is it produces prostatic fluid. And the reason why prostatic fluid is important is it helps with the sperm. It helps keep the sperm alive and viable, and it also keeps the semen thin. I want to say kind of liquidy when after a male ejaculates, so that the sperm can continue to move. Because the whole process of ejaculation is supposed to be to fertilize an egg. So that's what the prostatic fluid does, and it makes up probably 30 to 35% of what semen is. Now, inside the prostatic fluid, what you have are these enzymes or proteins, and they're called prostate-specific antigens, or PSA. And the PSAs are what they use to measure or to determine whether or not a male has prostate cancer. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. So now how they get to the PSAs is that they take a blood sample and they measure, I guess, the amount of blood to the PSA, to the amount of protein that's in there. And from there, they can determine whether or not you have cancer. So the thing is that they say the PSA levels should be around 4, anything 4% or higher is an indication that you maybe have cancer. And they said that anything 4% or lower was pretty good. But what happened was they were finding that wasn't really conclusive, because there were some people that had it below 4 and then they had cancer, and then they had some that had high levels but didn't have cancer. So that, it's still in the new stages. They're still trying to figure it out and understand it, if I can say it that way. But it's good to watch the levels, because it does give you an indication.
Yeah, let me add something there. And I've been having my PSA checked for the past 20 years. And again, like you've indicated, the range goes from 0 to 4. Now, what can happen? Because I know of someone whose PSA level was 2.6, and it just so happened that after further testing, because what had happened, I think this reading, I'm just giving this information because a close friend of mine, his reading was running consistently for a number of years at 1.1, 1.2, and then one point he went in for his physical, and his reading was observed to be 2.6, and the doctor said, ask him, this kind of jump is kind of really magnanimous. Do you have anyone in your family that has prostate cancer? And he said, yes, his dad died of prostate cancer. So even though it was at 2.6, the doctor went and discussed with him the potential of doing a biopsy. And he did the biopsy, and that's how he found out he had cancer. He had prostate cancer. But I just want to add that even though the numbers may fall within that window that they recommend, you can still have it. So again, if you talk about the correlation with your genes, that could also be indication that you need to check further to see if you have these things.
Exactly. And so that's why the PSAs are, it's a little funny. They say there's no real level, because just like what you said, his levels were low, but then he still had it,
Right.
because there's other factors that you have to take into account. You know, like the genetics, your age, your race, where you live, all those things have a bearing into it as well. But the other thing that we've talked about, when you go to these doctors, get your record. Lots of people feel like, oh, I don't understand it. It's no good to me. It is good. It is important. It doesn't even matter if you don't understand it. Get the records. You can chart your own progress. You can see how you're doing based off of your records if you keep them and if you look at them. So it's always good to look and be informed for yourself. Now, there are other things that can cause your PSA to rise. It's not just age, and those are the things that are not exactly cancer, but can also cause the same kind of discomfort. And so one of the things is, I'm going to see if I can say it right, prostatitis.
Yeah, prostatitis.
Prostatitis. And what that is inflammation of the prostate.
Right.
So now there's inflammation and there's enlargement, and you have to understand the difference, because they are two different things. Inflammation can be caused by bacteria. It can be caused by a resistant bacteria. Maybe you had an infection before, a urinary tract infection, and it got treated, but some of the bacteria remained. It might have been just a little minute amount of bacteria remaining. It could be caused by irritation from urine backup. Because what happens with the prostate when it swells up, I don't know if you can see there, the prostate shares the urethra with the bladder. And so because of where it's located, when it swells up, it literally squeezes the urethra closed. And so what happens is it causes the urine to get blocked. It gives you sensations like you have to urinate, but you can't because of swelling, so you can't urinate the right way. But the backup of the urine is what can also cause urinary problems, because the bacteria will then cause you to have a urinary tract infection because it's not able to release. So there's a lot of issues that can, inflame the prostate. It could be parasites. You could have pelvic muscle issues. It could be from sexual abuse. It could be from viruses, problems with your nerves. It can even be chemical irritation. You'd be surprised how soaps, detergents, condoms, lubricants can also have an effect that cause inflammation in that area.
Empress, I've just put up the photo that shows a normal prostate, what it looks like, and then an enlarged one, just to illustrate the point you're making, that once it's enlarged, then you have that constriction in that particular area that could cause other problems.
Yes. And so the reason why I said there's a difference between inflammation and enlargement, because it can get enlarged but not necessarily be inflamed.
Right.
And I'll go into the difference with that later, but let me just finish with
let me just add one little tidbit, and the tidbits I'm adding here is just based on discussion with my doctor, and because I have my test check it every year. One of the things he said, if you're going for physical, and the night before, say you're going to do your physical this Friday morning, and the night before you had sexual intercourse, or if the night before, the day before, you've been riding on a bike, those activities can increase your PSA. So, I just want to add those other tidbits to what you're saying.
Okay, so then I guess if you're going to go and have those types of testing, then you may want to refrain from any type of strenuous or any type of aggressive pelvic movement. Is that fair to say, Rula?
Yes, because you just mentioned pelvic, and that's why I mentioned that information. You just talk about, you were given some list and you mentioned the pelvic. That's why I added that information in.
Yeah, and see, it's good that you mentioned that. So see, now, the symptoms of prostatitis, am I saying it right?
Yeah, prostatitis.
Yeah. The symptoms are blood in the urine or in your semen, pain or burning when urinating, painful bowel movements, painful ejaculation, pain in the lower back above the pubic bone, between the genitals and the anus, or at the tip of your penis, or difficulty straining when urinating, or frequent urges urinating. Basically, anything that doesn't feel right down there should prompt you to have it checked out.
Right.
Because, it can lead to so much more than just a simple painful infection. It could just be something simple. It could be bacterial infection. You get some antibiotics and boom, you're better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the key is, again, to be in tune with your body. Don't deny what you feel. I think that a lot of men feel something. They say, nah, I'm good, I'm fine. And then they'll go and, force themselves to pee. And that's not good either, because you can strain yourself. You can cause yourself urinary damage. It's really not good to force yourself to try to urinate like that. You can cause a lot of damage. You have to really be careful with that.
Yeah, and one of the key thing I see, Music Junkie just entered in the chat room, that the urinary, it's urinary, they call it UTI, urinary tract infection, which, can happen from time to time. But it says one of the key thing is regular testing, because just like you said, you just don't go and test and put down the date and leave it in the drawer. You need to go back and have an idea as to where your numbers are relative to previous years. And it's something for me that I really do. I can sit down and map out all my readings over the past 20 years. I've been checking mine.
Yes, and you need to. What they do is when you go there, they'll give you either a urine test, or they'll take a semen culture, or sometimes they'll even take a prostate culture. And what they do is they'll squeeze the prostate and get some of the fluid so that they can, look at it and see what's in there. Whether the proteins, they count the PSAs like that. And then they also test for sexually transmitted diseases, because sometimes it's an STD. It might be something simple, but you won't know. The point is that you won't know if you don't go and get it checked out.
Empress, one thing you have not mentioned, which I want to again add this in the dialogue here, about DRE. I had asked the question why some men don't want to go and have it checked out. There's a thing called digital rectal exam. They call it DRE. And that's how the doctors are able to determine if your prostate is growing. And if he starts to see getting big or large, he may say something is happening. Like T says, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem. But that's how that's one of the tests that he can perform on you to make sure, you're cleared of anything.
Yes, those tests. Now, that particular test that you're speaking about, that is more for. It really depends on the symptoms. I don't want to say they don't always do it. They do like they have their regular tests, like you said. That's one of them, the digital rectal. And what that is the doctor will take his one digit. That's where you get the name from, and insert it into the rectum to feel for the prostate. And they can feel the prostate there. Depending on how big it is, they'll know whether it's in a cancerous stage. If it's really, really big, they can sometimes determine what stage of cancer it's in. I was going to get into that a little later, but I just wanted to finish first with the inflammation. So if you go into the doctor and they give you these tests and they say, okay, it's a simple inflammation, they'll either prescribe you some antibiotics or some meds to relax your prostate muscles, or some ibuprofen or lead, to reduce the swelling and the inflammation, and also some stool softeners to soften all the glands and all the organs in that area, so that you can, get your flow back, because that's what it really is. In addition to that, there are also some natural remedies. I was going to hit you with some that you can also do that help with that. And, apple cider vinegar, we've talked about it. I think we keep talking about it, but apple cider vinegar helps with toxins. Let's say that you did contract a UTI or you're forming one. The apple cider vinegar helps detox the toxins from your body. And another thing you can do if your prostate does get inflamed and you're uncomfortable is that you can take a warm bath. in the apple cider vinegar and Epsom salt and baking soda, and that'll help relieve some of the inflammation, and it'll also detox you so that it's working inside and out to relieve some of the inflammation. You can also eat pumpkin seeds. They say that pumpkin seeds are very, very rich in zinc. There's a group that believes that prostate issues are related to zinc deficiencies. I've even mentioned it before in one of my other segments where I was talking about improper sex. If the semen is not ejaculated properly, you can have blockages, you can have problems with that. If there's too much ejaculation, you can get zinc deficiencies, and that causes other issues. You need the zinc. The zinc, as I said, helps with the sperm. It helps to keep the sperm viable. It helps to keep it liquidy so that it can move. It does some other things. The zinc is very important. I can't find it in my notes. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, the zinc increases the sperm count. It also lowers the estrogen and prolactin. They believe that when there's too much estrogen, it breaks down the testosterone, and the testosterone creates the when it's broken down, it creates DHT, which breaks down that it breaks down, as I said, it breaks down the testosterone, and that's what causes the gland to swell. So there you have enlargement, but it's not inflammation. Do I need to repeat that? Do you understand that when you have a zinc deficiency?
Yeah.
It lowers the estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it lowers the testosterone. And what that does is that without that testosterone, the gland enlarges. It starts to grow. It's not swelling. It's growing. So the zinc prevents it from growing. It keeps it at a normal size. So there's a group of people that believe that, any prostate issue can be relieved by increasing your zinc. And that's why they said that, frequent ejaculation is not very good because it depletes your zinc, and then people are not aware of it and they don't increase their zinc. So if you increase your zinc intake, you can take zinc supplements 50 to 100 milligrams per day, should help regulate that. And if you take some apple cider vinegar, you can also balance your body chemicals inside. And they also say molasses, believe it or not, is very, very rich in all the vitamins and minerals and helps keep it balanced, because what you want to do is keep your testosterone and your estrogen levels balanced so that it produces the right chemicals and everything is flowing properly.
All right, so one clarification. Let me see if I understand this. Maybe I didn't understand it clearly. So you're saying, for example, Tom Smith has a lot of women. He's having a lot of sex, having a woolly pack many times over. If by him discharging a whole bunch of different times, his zinc levels could be affected, and therefore it could create other problems. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Quite interesting.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
All right. So then, listeners, if you have any boyfriends, your husbands, whatever, you can have this kind of dialogue, because that's one of the purpose of this, is for you to hear some of these information, check it out, read up more, talk to your doctor, make sure you understand. So for Mr. Tom Jones out there, Tom Smith, if you're doing it early for people and all that come, remember that you have to make sure you're taking your proper vitamins, your zinc vitamin, to offset those things. Go ahead.
Yeah, because zinc deficiency is also linked to, I think it says schizophrenia. You can, and remember, people, look this stuff up. Don't take my word for it. I looked it up. I hear about it. I talk about it with friends, and I talk about it with family members, so that I can become familiar, because I like to know, what's going on. I have 3 sons. I want to know what they can look forward to. I want to know how to prepare them.
Yeah.
So, these are the things. But zinc deficiency is also linked to mental disorders. Back in the day, they used to have this thing where they said, if the young boys masturbated too much, they'll go crazy. Mm-hmm. The reason why they said that is because they seem to be going crazy, but it was linked to that zinc deficiency. It affected their brain. And so to them, you know, the obvious connection was that one act. But it's a for real thing. If you do the research, you can see that it causes a chemical imbalance and it triggers other things in the body. So I'm not saying don't masturbate, but if you're going to do it, replenish your zinc. Try drinking molasses. Those who like a lot of coffee is not good for you. Caffeine will destroy and eat up your body. Substitute it with blackstrap molasses. Blackstrap molasses is also very good for prostate inflammation. It has a lot of manganese, iron, calcium, potassium, and most importantly, it has selenium, which is anti-inflammatory. And it's also rich in the B vitamins, which has, you know, obvious anti-cancer properties. So there are things that you can do, incorporate into your daily habit to make sure that your prostate is working, you know, it's going to be working properly. True, there are some factors that we can't avoid. We can't avoid getting old. We can't avoid where we live. Some things we can't avoid genetically. But there are things that you can probably do to help alleviate it or push it back some so that you don't have to deal with it so early, you know, full onslaught of the issues, the prostate issues.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. How about regional? I've heard that in Jamaica, there's there's studies have shown, and I don't know how scientific it is, but studies have shown that there are certain parts in Jamaica that prostate cancer is prevalent amongst men. And I think what they were trying to tie to is the eating of ackee. I don't know if you know about any of those things. Go ahead.
I know. I've had ackee before, but what I really think it is, it's definitely a key to the diet. When it's something like that, when it's a group of people like that, it definitely can be a thing with the diet. But again, like I said, that means that there's deficiencies being caused. And then these deficiencies, you know, they trigger different things in the body. And so that if we can, you know, just try and balance out our diets a little more. If it's mainly because of the ackee, I would have to look up and see what is prevalent in ackee, what mineral or what nutrient, what is it that's prevalent in there, because maybe it's doing something to the testosterone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Empress, I don't know if you're looking into the chat room. Music Junkie wrote something there. I don't know if you want to give a stab at it and see if he has an answer. I'm not sure if it's a question or it's just a conjecture. So do you think if you get a chance to sneak on it, then you can probably determine if something you want to address? Okay, so yeah, go ahead now, Auntie.
Okay, so then that we covered that. Now that I gave him symptoms of what prostatitis is, but the symptoms for cancer are almost the same. The difference with the cancer will be more swelling. When the doctor does the digital rectal, the DRI test, they can feel it. And there's different, you know, as I said with the PSA, they can read the levels, they can get to see what's going on internally by that. But then they also do a cancer biopsy.
Yeah, I know you.
Now, some people don't want the biopsy. Some people are afraid of it. It looks scary. I personally wouldn't want a biopsy. What they do is they go either through the rectum wall into the prostate and extract fluids, you know, for testing to see, or they can go in between the skin, in between the scrotum and the rectum, and get the fluids from there. But it's kind of dangerous because it invites opportunity for infection in that area. There's pain, bleeding that can go along with it if it's not, you know, if it's not done right. So it's very, and it's painful. It's very invasive to get tested for it. So you want to be sure. And sometimes, you know, like you said, they'll do the digital, the DRI test and not detect it. There are different stages of cancer, and so that's why you would have to have all the tests if your doctor sees that your levels are low, if you have a history of it in your family. They would use all these things to determine how much testing they'll do. And then once they do the testing, there are stages of the test. There are stages of the cancer. So that, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say. So, in actuality, to confirm if one has prostate cancer, the injecting into the body, doing the spinal, not spinal, but actually going and pulling fluid from inside and doing that test is more conclusive than the blood.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes. Not just that. It's not just it's that. It's the blood. It's the semen. They would look at everything together. The PSA levels. They would also look at your, family history. All of those things take into effect. But definitely going directly in is the most accurate way of knowing, because then they can see the cells. Because in stage 1, you can have cancer in stage 1. There's the photograph there, and it's just so small that you can't see it, you can't feel it. You won't be able to feel it during his test because it hasn't started to swell. But it's there, and they can know by the PSAs or by the test, the biopsy. And then as you go through the stages, you see that it gets bigger and bigger. In stages 2, it's still in the prostate. The cancer is still in the prostate. It's a little bigger, and your PSAs will be higher, but it hasn't migrated past the prostate. So it's still not that considered not to be so bad. Now in stage 3, it kind of moves outside of the prostate, but it's still just outside. And so it's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad. But stage 4 is the worst because it leaves the prostate, and now it has the chance of infecting other organs.
Right.
And there's where the problem comes in, and there's where people are dying, because it can affect your liver, it can affect your kidneys, it can go up to your lungs, it can just wreak havoc in your body if not checked in time.
Okay, and folks, it's 10 minutes after the hour, going for 40 minutes now, and Empress T is covering high frequency, and our topic this week is about prostate cancer in men, and some of the things to look for, some of the things to do, some of the precautions, and let me add this, and that we've been hearing this, Empress, that there have been findings, and one of the things that there's a statement that came out that says prostate cancer screening in men, that men should forego PSA testing, a panel advises. It says a government panel finds that there is little evidence that a common prostate cancer screening saves men's lives and instead raises the risk of unnecessary harm, which is some of the side effect stuff you were talking about.
Yeah, because of where it is.
Right.
It's in a really delicate spot. It's nestled in there, and then because the urethra runs right through it, it runs the risk of infecting a lot of different organs. It's really in a delicate spot. To me, I would like to see a change in diet. I'm just a firm believer of it. It may seem so simplistic, but it's the real. These are things that are happening inside of our body, and a lot of it is being triggered by the foods that we're putting inside our bodies. We're putting in foods that are depleting our nutrients. We're putting in foods that are toxic. And we live in toxic environments. I mean, like, our bodies almost have no chance to do what it's famous for. They're strong. They're supposed to support us and live. But we don't really give it the right chance. We're not giving it a chance.
Indeed. Let me add a couple of things here, Empress. Music Junkie added in the chat room that the study on Aki causing prostate cancer in Jamaica in men have been found to be inconclusive. He went on to say an example of stage 1 is cancer localized to on a lobe of a prostate. And he says stage 2 is localized to both lobes of the prostate. Stage 3,
but it's still within the prostate. That's the main thing about those 2 stages.
Right. And he says stage 3 is cancer outside the prostate, not affecting lymph node. And stage 4 is affecting lymph node. And stage 5 is beyond the lymph node, which is what you said.
The liver and they use another system called the TNM And that's where they determine whether it's gone to the lymph nodes or whether it's in the bloodstream or how far it's gone.
What is it? What is the acronym?
It's called TNM, and it stands for tumor, node, and metastasis. I may not be pronouncing it properly, but metastasis.
Yeah, but it's not
metastasis. Metastasis. That just shows how far the cancer has spread. And he's got it right there. You can see it also in the diagram. I don't know how close up people can see it. I can see it because I've seen it.
Right.
But the trick, gentlemen, is don't let it get that far. We don't want it to stage 5, okay? Mm-hmm. So that if you're feeling any weird symptoms, and you know what's weird, you know when your stuff is feeling good or when it's not feeling good.
Well, let me just add quickly here for correction. What is being shown on this picture is stage 1. It have it in Roman numerals. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. That's what's being shown on this diagram.
Yes.
It's in Roman numerals.
And so, you see how there's a backwards Y? So each of those sections are sections, if I'm correct, am I correct using Justy? Each of those are lobes in the prostate. And so what he's saying there is that if it's in one lobe or in 2 of those lobes and 3 of those lobes, that's what I believe he's talking about. Am I correct, Music Junkie?
All right. And
you can see in the diagram, the cancer is depicted by the yellow.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right, it's 15 minutes after. I don't know if you're going to...
We didn't talk about treatment of the cancer. Would y'all like to hear what ways they treat it?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I presume you're going to cover treatment. Go ahead, yes.
So depending on the stage, that determines the treatment. So that in stage 1, where it's still relatively small, they would do what they call watchful waiting. They would just, take a look, because sometimes there's cancer cells there, but if it's not growing or not doing anything, it could be benign. Benign means that it's not really killing. It can't kill you. It's there, but it's not doing any damage. So in stage 1, that's what they will do. In stage 2, as the prostate gets a little bigger, they could start doing a little bit of removal of the node. It depends on how quickly it's growing. They will either do removal or they may try to do some light radiation, direct radiation therapy to wherever it is. And then for stage 3, the same thing. They would do a little more radiation. They add some removal of the nodes or hormone therapy. They would use external beams of radiation, because it's not outside of the prostate gate, but they still have a chance of containing it. But as it gets more and more spread, then they have to be more aggressive with the treatment, so that the external radiation would be higher. They would use hormone therapy. They might even have to resort to surgery to relieve some blockages and remove some of the tissue. So it all depends on how far along you are with the cancer.
Yes, indeed. All right, it's 17 minutes after covering the topic of cancer, and Empress T is coming through some of the measures that one can take to correct if they've realized that they're under that condition. Go ahead, T.
That was really it. I don't know. I mean, there's also erectile dysfunction, but that's something completely different. True, some of the symptoms are the same, and I believe that they're all related, like I said, to diet. Once we can adopt, a diet that's going to keep us at a balanced level most of the time, I think that a lot of these issues that we're having nowadays will be alleviated. We have to be mindful of what we're eating. We have to be mindful of how we're feeling. People are walking around with cancer and they don't even know, or they do know, but they're afraid to find out. And sometimes it's not a cancer. It could be something, like I said, simple. It might be a simple urinary tract infection. But because you let it go on, now it's a month or 2, now it turned into something else. We have to, let go of that ego. Put that stuff aside and go and get help. Discuss it with someone. Discuss it with your brethren. If you can't discuss it with your woman or your wife, discuss it with your brethren. Discuss it with your closest male family member, someone, but discuss it. Do not keep it in, because that's another thing. Then you add on stress to it. So now you think, oh God, something is wrong with my stuff. I can't go see anybody. Now you're keeping that in. You're acting weird. Your wife is like, what's going on with you? You say, nothing's wrong. But something is wrong. She can see something is wrong. And it, you know, it turns into something else. So that we have to communicate and talk to each other. Talk.
All right, let me say greetings to Paula Powell. She's tuning in over there in the Flavor Radio. That's Lady Paula Powell. A number of people are tuning in. We're not giving you a shout out now, but again, I want to say big up to all the listeners on the various networks on JamaicaRadio.com, Ruler Brown Network, CRS Radio, Caribbean Radio Show, The Flavor Radio, Foundation Radio Network, 25th Century Radio, Scotch P Radio, TuneIn Radio, Mixler Radio, Vibes Urban Radio. Also, individuals checking us out on a Mighty Radio in Manchester, in England, One Armed Radio in London, in England, Regular Nostalgia, Ustream TV, and individuals tuning in on their telephone, 213-401-0061. We have another 5-10 minutes. We're going to wind it down. Okay, Empress. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, I presented within the past year and a half, a scenario where I usually read some of these topics, these health topics. And one of my shows last year, someone who has prostate cancer, their PSA reading was up to 13. And then he heard me reading the stuff about baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, the chemical formula. And he called me and said, Ruler, what was the dosage? What was the suggested way they take this? And within 9 months, he called me back and said his PSA reading dropped from 13 point odd to 3.9. Are there, and I know you've suggested other natural stuff one to take. What's your thought and suggestion, if you do know, the impact on taking like sodium, baking soda for those things?
Well, again, the baking soda acts as a detox, and it breaks it down. There's another man that did it with the baking soda and the molasses together. The only thing that I can determine from that is that the nutrients and all the things together are balancing internally, you know, and getting those levels back together. Remember I was saying about the D deficiency and things like that, so that it helps to regulate. It definitely helps. I use baking soda for a lot of things. When I was doing my research for it, I saw that there were a lot of people that use different methods, baking soda, molasses, apple cider vinegar, all kinds of natural things. I don't know the mechanics of the baking soda, but I know that it works. There are people that swear by it, and they're using it to combat all kinds of cancer, not just prostate.
All right. Well, hey, folks, and again, Empress is not a medical doctor or anything. She's just presenting her research information and passing it on. So you should always check with your doctor before you do anything, and make sure you're comfortable with whatever information your doctor is passing on to you.
Yes.
And the other thing I want to say, though, about the doctor rule is kind of be careful, because the doctors nowadays, a lot of doctors are paid kickbacks to promote certain medicines and certain products, so that you want to use the doctors for your own benefit. Let them work for you. Like I said, get your test results. Whatever they say, listen to it. Listen to everything they say, but then go home and look up a natural remedy. That should be your first course of action before you take anything. Look up a natural remedy, and then you can even call the doctor back and say, hey, have you heard about such and such? Can I take this with it? Chances are they're going to say no, because they don't want you to heal yourself naturally. Right. If we can heal ourselves naturally, we wouldn't need doctors. Right. But what they really should be doing is working with us to maintain our bodies naturally. That's what they do over in the East. In the Eastern society, the doctors help maintain. They don't really have to do curing, because people are healthier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And earlier in the presentation, you talked about over in the Middle East, over in China, those type of places, Japan, where the incidences of prostate cancer is extremely low. And if an individual,
2%.
yeah, and if they were to come here, based on your logics, again, what would you contribute? What would not what would you contribute? What would you cause the contribution to that? Is it the eating
Like
habits?
I said, it's the diet. It's also environmental. I mean, we in the U.S., just our air alone. From what I understand, we have the most toxic air above our country than there is anywhere in the world. Okay, so that has a lot to do with it. The diet has a lot to do with it. It could also be the region. I mean, when I read about the, those particular states that had higher incidences because of less vitamin D, less sunlight, and so they get less vitamin D, all those things are, take effect into it. So when they come over here, though, I think a large part of it has to do with the diet and the culture. Stress wreaks havoc on our body.
Yep.
People don't realize how much stress wreaks havoc. I spoke about it. It increases your cortisol, and once that cortisol starts producing in your body, it starts robbing nutrients from other parts of your body. It's robbing your calcium. Now your bones are getting weak. It's robbing your zinc. It's robbing your potassium. It's robbing, you know what I'm saying? So every time it robs to produce that cortisol, is robbing from different parts of your body, your brain, your heart, your lungs. It's causing all kinds of issues, and it just cascades from there.
All right.
It's the diet, I believe.
Yes, indeed. I want to say good morning also to Danette Morrison down in Jamaica. We have a ton load of people tuning in the background. And again, you're listening to High Frequency 1125. Empress, wind it down and let us know what's happening next.
So again, I just want to, to really press upon our males listening, talk about it. If you have any question at all, talk about it amongst your peers. Women, talk to your men about it. If you notice that in bed they're not as forthcoming as they used to be, ask them. Put it to them delicately, in a way that's not shameful, but in a loving way, because it's an issue that you both can resolve together, and it's an issue that can affect you both, because if it doesn't get checked and it turns into cancer, he can potentially die sooner than you need him to. So, talk about it. Share the information. Share this segment with them. Share these topics. We have to talk. That's the main thing. We have to bring our men up, and we have to take care of each other.
All right. We want to say big up to China Nicole, a number of people in the Ruler Brown Network on the Chat and Go chat room. There are some others in the Ustream. Want to say big up to 25th Century, the big man, Mr. Clifton Edwards, Ann Payne, China Nicole, Empress, the Music Junkie, SW Toronto Queen, and guest 3188, guest 9489, guest 3443, guest 9093, guest 9936, guest 9334, guest 9357, guest 9097, and a ton load of others. Toronto Queen also is in the background tuning in. Servant David, who had suggested the topic for Empress T. Want to thank her for covering this. Empress, wrap it for me there.
Okay, so again, if you are having problems with your prostate, get you some pumpkin seeds, get some sesame seeds, oysters, almonds. Those are all rich in zinc. You can use blackstrap molasses. Try to consume maybe 1 to 3 tablespoons per day. You can mix it with milk. You can mix it with water. For those who are coffee drinkers, try to get some omega-3 oils, some walnuts, kidney beans, flaxseed, salmon. These are things that you want to incorporate in your diet to make sure that you don't have these prostate issues. Bell peppers, vitamin C, tomato gives you lycopene. So, there are things that we can eat. There are things that you can do to make sure that your prostate is good. And again, if you feel anything out of line, anything out of whack, go to a doctor. Just go.
Yes, indeed.
Better a doctor than the coroner.
That's for sure. That is very, very true. Indeed. Well, those are some great advices, and Empress, want to thank you for covering this week. If one has any subject that they'd like Empress to talk about, you can email me. We'll get it on to her. If you friends with her on Facebook, you can link her there. Empress, go ahead and just mention you've done some change, I think, to your high frequency page. Let them know where they can actually see that information.
Yeah, I have. I'm still in the middle of the transition. I only have 24 hours in a day to work with. I've been trying to negotiate 4 more hours. I don't know how, but I need more time, guys. But everything is going to be up there. I will notify you through Ruler Brown how you can get on. But right now, I believe it's let's see, the Empress T higher frequency or higher frequency with Empress T. Just look for those, and everything that I cover, I will have links on the page, and you can also listen to the replays on Ruler Station. And again, you know, if there's anything that anyone wants me to talk about, just hit me up and I'll do it. And I don't know, does anyone have any questions from today's segment?
Yes, if someone want to make a quick call in, we'll certainly open the phone line. The number here is 770-744-2154, 770-744-2154. Or if you want to drop a quick question in the chat room, and Empress can get us started. In the meantime, we want to thank you for tuning in. We know there are a lot of people in the other chat rooms. I'm not monitoring the other chat rooms, but again, if you'd like to call in, you know, the number, we'll take a call or two. If you can get a call in quickly, the number 770-744-2154. Yes, Empress T on higher frequency. Empress, if you want to ad-lib for another minute, let's see if a call coming in goes. Go ahead, and if not, we just take it out from there.
Well, this was for this segment was requested by Servant David. I hope that I've answered any questions that he might have had. And even if it just was just to share, if he just wanted us to share it, get it out there on the floor. This is an excellent topic. It's taking far too many of our Black men. It's taking far too many of our men. And what I've been seeing is that the trend is that they're getting younger. Mm-hmm. You know, they say that as you get older, the incidences increase, but our men are dying younger. Mm. And, you know, we have to do all that we can to live longer and to live healthier. And by having these forums and by talking and sharing this information, we get it out there and we make a change. Like they say, when you know better, you do better. Okay. So you've heard a lot of information here. There's a lot that we can share. There's a lot that, you know, it's a good starting point. If I didn't answer any questions or if you have more, go look it up. The beauty about the internet now is that you can look up anything that your mind can think of. Anything at all. Right.
All right, folks. I think we're gonna leave it there. I have a song actually, Empress T, about 5 years ago. Clinton Lindsay just getting up, take a little time. Okay, I had, well, not had, but I think 6 years ago I went to Jamaica, and a good friend of mine, he lost his mom from breast cancer and his dad from prostate cancer within 2 weeks. And he did a song, I did a video for it, and I'm going to try to find it on Facebook, on YouTube, and play it for you. So with that, Empress, we're going to call it, again, another great presentation on prostate cancer. And next week, and stand by for another gripping presentation from Empress T on higher frequency. And we have recorded this segment, so you'll be able to go back and do the replay on it.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, Empress T, higher frequency. Yeah.
Well, blessings. I hope, you all, got something from that. I hope that you were able to get some, good information. And again, it's always better to know than not to know. So I encourage you guys to go out there and get tested for prostate cancer. I can't express it enough. Get tested. It's better to know than not to know. Okay? It's better to know where you can, prepare for things, where you can treat it. It's better to prepare for the doctor, than it is to prepare for death, as Empress T said. Again, you can find Empress T at Empress T Higher Frequency on YouTube. And you can find Ruler Brown also on YouTube, or you can find him on Facebook. That's Ruler Brown Network, RBN, Ruler Brown Network. You can find him on Facebook. You can find him on Instagram, YouTube, and again, you can also find Empress T at Higher Frequency. All right. She got some good stuff there. Hopefully, I can get some more of her stuff, and hopefully, if all goes well, I can get her in person, and we could talk about some future things in person. I'm working on this thing. It's gonna take some time, um, but I'm working on it. You know, as I said, my LSs are reserved for topics like this: health awareness, to spread health awareness. For those who may have missed it, if you're wondering, the ribbon for the color of prostate cancer is a light blue. I guess you could call it like even a sky blue color, a sky bluish kind of ribbon. Lavender is for all cancers. All cancers awareness is lavender. We are presently in the month of January, and January's health awareness is cervical cancer, which is another serious topic, but that's for women. So it's kind of like the same thing, but for women. Um, and it's a little bit different as well. And again, I am not a doctor. Empress T is not a doctor. Ruler Brown is not a doctor. So we are not here to diagnose anyone or treat anyone for anything, but we do have some information that is worthwhile and could be life saving, but most definitely life changing. So again, I want to thank you all for coming in, and as usual, Servant David said, manners, love, and elevation on the walk good. Until next time, yeah?